my job for about 20 years has been cattle, advising on cattle breeding, which has mainly been dairy. But I love to see a nice beef bull. And this one's called Competition, where you've let the one Limousin bull in the field and the Aberdeen Angus is looking and thinking, what the hell's that? This little painting we have here now. I was in Montana last year and went to the horse sales in Billings, and it was pouring down with rain, and the guy there had his big coat on and he had this plastic flag when he hit the horses over the head with it to make them move, and it was just the feeling of the rain coming down and all the horses wondering what their fate was. That's been the hardest painting I've done so far. And here we have the knight, my knight in shining armour. I went to Leeds Museum, fantastic, free to go in as well. And they had all these helmets, and I thought, I wonder what it's like. I was supposed to put it on, but I put it on, and the slit is so small, and then if you pretend you're on a horse as well, you can't see where you're going. I couldn't pick up the jousting stick, and I realised their average height was about 4'10", and this just fascinated me, and I wanted to just paint this knight and get this feeling of him coming from the sunshine into battle. And I wrote a bit of a poem about it. Knight, you sit there, battle weary, hidden, lost and sad, holding your weapon that weighs heavy in your hand. You cannot see, you cannot feel warm sunshine on your face. Your mount is scared, scarred and defeated. Your life's purpose deceited. It's time to die. Dismount, discard your armour and be. I played with newspaper on this one, just stuck some newspaper and painted over the top of it. And having done the front 3 cows, and some of the cows are quite ugly as well, I didn't want to do pretty cows. And then I can see other cows forming within the painting. And I wanted to put some in the distance to show that I can actually do know the shape of a cow. Okay, coming down now. And I've always had chickens, and I love chickens and cockerels, and there's nothing like a big cock to wake you up in the morning, and this was that. A bit of the Kellogg's cornflakes advert, but it just happens so quickly, and the vibrant colours, and this cockerel has got a sense of humour. I'd like to put it where if I don't like anybody, this cockerel could live next door to them. The next one is a simple sunflower one. I just wanted a red one. I thought it looked really good on a white. If somebody had red and white in their house, they could have this as a main painting. But as you look at it, the black comes through, and there seems to be African masks coming through on that one. And it is a bit more interesting than you first think it's going to be. This one on the floor here was this tree. This is a huge tree, and you could fit a car through the middle part of it. I wanted to create a different type of background to the front, and I wanted it to have movement, and hopefully achieve that on that. All of this experimental. And then we have the duck. Water off a duck's back. That feeling when a duck gets into the water and it just wants to splash and move, and it's putting all the drops all over itself. I think it's a very happy picture. I did this one when a guy came to me for an attunement for Reiki, and the face of the moon appeared in the tree because we did it in the wood. And it happened very, very quickly, and then in no time at all I could see things within it. The top right-hand corner, there's a hare sat a leaf here. We've got the face there. We've got badgers coming in and rabbits coming in. But there's just loads and loads. I went to Holland and I saw a Fleckvieh bull with a tiny head. But I really liked the bull, so I had to just paint him. I came back and painted him. And then there was a cow with this enormous head. And it was funny, and I just thought what a nice pair they'd make, big head and little head. And then I've, on the right-hand side, then I've done a typical sort of Fleckby cow in Holland, just looking up, paying attention, watching the birds and bees. And I've tried to do a bit more to shape and form. This painting now of the horses that I did in 1995 was painting more of a drawing really that I coloured in, was done on the kitchen that I took out from the house in Cumbria. So it's done on an old board of a kitchen. But I liked it, and it reminded me of all the horses that meant something to me in my life, even though it wasn't sort of to scale or anything. And my stallion Major Jack would represent the bay one in the front. And the chestnutty one, the orangey one, would be Billy, who died when she was 33. She used to pull a milk cart in the war. And that's how that one's come about. And people said it reminds me of the painting called The Wave. And then they brought out the Guinness advert after that with horses galloping through waves, and it reminded them that, but I had done that before that advert came out. The sheep sort of drew himself, and what it represents when you look at it, there's sort of 3 sheep within one thing. And when I was breeding sheep, there'd be a lamb for a week, and then there'd be a sheep all of a sudden, and then there's the growth, the lamb, the middle-sized sheep and a full-size sheep. I like to put some bronze and some gold in with that and pick up the colours as you walk past it. I just love breeding sheep. Got a bit of a magic roundabout horse here. When I was in France, you'd have lots of these merry-go-rounds and see all these horses going on these poles, and I just thought, oh gosh, that is just a bit of a silly drawing, but I love the texture of it. I love the texture of the mane, and I like people to touch it as they walk down the passageway. This next one is actually in old-fashioned language, 5 foot by 5 foot. I don't know what that is in Spanish or French or whatever, but this represents the weeds at the bottom of the garden for me. There's just like one odd flower that's never been watered for 100 years, and she still fights to live. So it's where all the little pots are and all the old bits of rubbish are in the corner of your garden. And I just like the colours, and I like painting it. You get up early in the morning to do some lambing, and there's just one of those, the sun starts to come up or the sun starts to go down, however you want to see it, and it just captures it through those branches and makes the branches turn red too. Just that, it represents a lot of calm and peace for me. That's a bit of a silly one that I did of a zebra's bottom, because I'm fascinated by the back ends of zebras when I go to Africa. And there they are, just sort of eating away in all this very dry grass. Love for cows again. This calf had enormous ears, and I just wanted to paint this calf really, but then the calf and the cow happened. And then I wanted to do more detail in the grass and in the bushes, and I just wanted it, just wanted more colour in it, and I just wanted this calf to be in a really happy place. And the sky in the background with a bit of lilac and just very pale. That was my first go at watercolours, just the sky there. And they sort of do their own thing. You're not in control, so that's fine too. Enjoyed painting that. This is experimenting with watercolour again. And I just have so much fun with it, and I just love the colours, and I wanted to create something that wasn't really real but a bit real. So and then by putting that big trunk of the tree on the left hand side and painting it like a berserk colour, so it's sort of like 2 paintings in one. It forms the frame on the left hand side for it, and it isn't flowing at all because that branch is coming out and it's very straight. So it's sort of pushing me because I like everything to flow and it doesn't. So I did it on purpose. And there's the fence at the bottom falling down, and a little bit of ironwork in the grass right in the right-hand corner down the bottom. It's a fun unicorn for children for their bedroom, But this one, when I started painting him, he was a bit arrogant and saying, "What are you looking at?" And said he was spreading his magic around the earth, and how dare I capture him doing so. So it's a bit of an attitude about this unicorn, which I liked. And he's red. He's a red Palomino, also an Appaloosa. So I think I called him a Palausa. A red Palausa. There you go. I've invented a new word. Simplicity, and there's nothing better than when I go away on holiday, just to sit near some water somewhere and just breathe in that sea air and just look out. Quite simple, a bit of growth on the left hand side and 2 simple trees, but I wanted to do the colour and the texture, just playing again with that. This tree happened in Cumbria, in Mealsgate, in the garage, because I know where to paint, and I did it with my thumb. It didn't take long at all. I hated it at first, and everybody said, "Well, that's really nice." So I did the lines with my thumb first, and I slapped some paint between, and then I grabbed the purple and then drew this big tree. But actually now it reminds me of ley lines and energy lines in the earth and the tree communicating, because as you look at the tree there's different birds, and I'm sure that the birds communicate through each other through the trees. Once here the baobab trees, which they say are the devil's trees that were planted upside down. And you see there's little pods hanging off them, which is the cream of tartar. That's where we get the cream of tartar from. Actually, baobab trees are not really trees, they are succulents, but they grow to enormous sizes. Absolutely huge. I just find them really fascinating. They're quite ugly, but they're fascinating. About water and plants and kingfishers and fish jumping out of the water and happiness, and I just like the way it turned out. Again, using watercolours and just them all blending into each other and not worrying about it. I think the effect was quite good. And next to it, I think this would make some lovely curtains or some cushion covers a summer's day for me. Lots of, I've used a bit of, I was given some rice and I didn't want to throw it away. So it was dry rice, it wasn't cooked rice by the way, and it wasn't pilau rice either. It was dried rice, and I used that for the centres of the flowers and then painted over the top of it. Okay, I was in America last year. I went to Yellowstone Park, and as I'm in the back of the car being driven back, I could see the Indians just disappearing into the distance. And I just wanted to capture that on canvas. Hopefully I've created some sort of atmosphere with it.
Some point in your life, there will come a time when you have to step up. Show the world and your surroundings who you really are. Therefore, at some point in your life, you will ask yourself that mother of all questions: who am I?